Dramatic scenes in court earlier today. Police arresting defense lawyer Malisela Tifo at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. He's representing 4 of the 5 men who are accused in this case. The trial has now been postponed to the end of May. For more on this, we are joined by Silindelo Masikane, still in court. Silindelo, good afternoon. Just take our viewers back. What happened just as the judge adjourned the case to the end of May? Okay, we just seem to have lost that connection with Silindelo. We'll try and get it back to you. But for now, just take a look at what happened in court earlier.
They arrest me because I'm in this case. Okay, that's the reason.
Is this why you're arresting him?
Yeah, the doesn't want me in this case. You see, that's the reason. He's got a warrant of arrest from January. Let's go. Why he didn't accept?
What are the charges?
Don't allow them.
What are the charges?
I don't know the charges to start with.
Did they tell you the charges when they were handcuffing you?
I don't know the charges.
Have you guys read him his rights?
They never did that.
Have you read him his rights?
That's how they harass me.
We can't talk to the media.
That's how they harass me.
Okay, let's try and see if we can establish that connection with my colleague Silindelo Masikane in court. Silindelo, we've just played that bite, one of the several bites that you captured at the moment that advocate Malisela Tifo was being handcuffed inside court just after the judge had adjourned the court, postponing it to the end of May. Just take our viewers back to what really happened there.
I mean, Braden, I think we're all still trying to wrap our heads around it because it happened so quickly. I mean, we came back from the lunch break at 2 p.m. and cross-examination of Sergeant Musia, the forensic investigator, was then set to continue. When we came back, Advocate Tifo then handed up some documents to the court saying that he wants to submit them or that he's going to refer to them. And it looks, these documents actually were alluding to another case where we have officers who were also assigned to the Senzo Meyiwa trial who in fact had cited the witnesses or the victims from that particular incident as suspects in the matter and had actually added a charge of defeating the ends of justice in that particular document. They were also facing the other charges such as murder and attempted murder, but there was an added charge of defeating the ends of justice because according to the defense, the crime scene was actually tampered with ahead of forensics getting to the scene, and they believe that it was actually staged by the time forensics got to the scene. The state did object, saying that this document was a draft, but Advocate Tifo then insisting that it was a document that was brought to them through disclosure and they just want to refer to it. Also saying that, alluding to the police officers that they were potentially going to call, who were the ones who actually who pressed those charges against the witnesses in the House. Moments later, the instructing attorney for Advocate Tifo, that is Thabo Tobane, then stood up and addressed the court, saying that during lunch, Advocate Tifo and himself are receiving death threats, they're receiving intimidation calls, and they believe that this is important for the court to note. Also saying that there were threats against Advocate Tifo to be arrested, and they asked for an early adjournment to the trial. Once we adjourned, Bradan, not even 5 minutes or 2 minutes later, a detective accompanied by at least 10 police officers, we believe from the TRT unit, came into court and demanded that Tifo leave with them. They had a warrant of arrest. We were all quite confused. I mean, this information had just actually been told to the judge that there are threats that Tifo is going to be arrested, and it didn't even take 24 hours for that to happen. Tifo was against leaving with the police officers, but his instructing attorney as well as Advocate Mshololo for accused number 5 encouraged him to not resist arrest arrest, but to rather go with the police and that they would follow him and try and sort this matter out. I then had an opportunity to try and engage Defo on what was happening, and he says he believes he's being arrested simply as an intimidation tactic, and quoting him saying that Bheki Cele does not want me on this case. We know that Advocate Defo, prior to him being an advocate, was actually a police officer for about 17 years. And so when it comes to the procedures of being arrested, I think he, like other lawyers in the court, know. And when we were speaking to Advocate Msololo, she was telling us that it's actually against the law to arrest somebody in a courtroom, and that they could have followed different processes and procedures. She also added, Dan, that when she had a look at the charge sheet or the document of arrest, she said that there were no charges on it, and so at this point we have no idea as to why Advocate Defo has been arrested. But he also mentioned that this arrest warrant has actually been issued sometime in January, and it's quite suspicious that it's only being executed now.
Lots of questions coming out of this one, and brilliant work there from you, Silindelo Masikane. Thank you very much for that update. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what kind of charges he'll be met with when he arrives at the police station that he's been taken to.